शास्त्रे अर्थविज्ञाने प्रवृत्तो कर्मदर्शने भिषक् चतुष्टये युक्तः प्राणाभिसर उच्यते. Duly engaged in study of science of medicine, mastering actual implications, right application of therapy, and having practical experience is known as pranabhisara, that is the savior of life. Now is the time to be bestowed with immense knowledge about health and wellness by our beloved Dr. B.M. Hegde sir.
Good morning, everybody. Learned judge and a very good human being that I have understood in the short span that I spent with him, Justice Kothari. Why did I say learned? Because he is a PhD, is it? No. That is of no consequence. He is learned because he is humble. Vidya Dadati Vinaya. I learned some Sanskrit from this young lady. Education is humility. But most of us think, I am educated so I must be arrogant. You are a fool if you are arrogant. I don't know how many of you have read that beautiful Kannada small little stanza by Panje Mangesh Pai. Yeruvanu Ravi, the sun rises. Yeruvanu, Kattalade Jagaladuvanu, fighting with darkness. Yeridantele Chikkavaragi Torvanu, as he goes up he becomes smaller and smaller. Yeridavanu Chikkavanagirabeke Emba Matana Jagake Sarvanu. That is, he goes up, becomes smaller and smaller, proclaiming to the world that those who go up in the ladder of life should be humbler and humbler. And that is what Justice Kothari is all about. And it's no coincidence that he is a chartered accountant. I have great respect for chartered accountants. I have so many members of my family, extended family, who are chartered accountants. Actually, when I was a little boy, one of my cousins was a senior chartered accountant. Those days he was a CA. V.M. Shetty and Sons, I think he is no more. His son is continuing the business, or whatever you want to call it as. Prakash Shetty is his name. I think they have an office in Bangalore as well. So, chartered accountants are not new to me. As Justice Kothari said, today I was in the Gulf countries. The Indian chartered accountants are very highly thought of in that area, and they want to hire them if they have an opportunity. So keep up that reputation. Please don't spoil it. But I tell you, there are a lot of black sheep in your organization also. I have a classmate of mine who goes around lecturing at Rotary clubs. He is a chartered accountant. He tells them, ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to pay tax? Come to me. I will see how you can legally not pay taxes. But the man has forgotten that ethically is not same as legally. What is legal is not ethical, but what is ethical is always legal. So the taxes, payment of tax, whatever is, of course, our country doesn't in return look after you, because I was in England for a number of years. I know I have paid tax there. Even today if I claim, I get my pension. I have not claimed it. And that's a country which looks after you when you are in trouble. But our country doesn't do that. I might have paid so much of tax, but if I am really in the dumps, the country doesn't bother about it. There is no social security at all. As a matter of fact, at my age also I don't get any social benefits, though I have paid lot of tax in my life. So this is what is happening. So that's why many people try to avoid tax. But let me tell you something. There is always happiness in being authentic. Authentic is the most important word. But the problem is with our educational system. Do you know what the education system tries to do here? Is trying for a wealthy career. I was in IIT Chennai the other day means about a year ago, lecturing there. At the end, the director told me, sir, ours is our number one IIT in India. I said, why? How do you say that? What's the yardstick? He said, my last student got 8 crore per year salary. I said, I'm sorry for you. If that is a yardstick, yours is the worst IIT, I said. Have you been able to produce a Manjunatha in your IIT? You know who Manjunatha is? Who is that? Manjunatha was an engineer, he is no more, who came out of the IIT He had a very big job in America. He refused that. He wanted to serve this country and join the Indian Oil Corporation. And he very quickly found out that there is so much of fraud going on. They adulterate this petrol in the bunks and all. So he went out single-handedly to avoid this and got shot by the gundas. So you have very few of those. Our education system must change. Justice Kothari said, you change, the world changes. Yes, he is absolutely right. There's an old story of a young boy who is very naughty in the house. The father and the mother had no time because he was asking so many questions. Today, of course, asking questions is dangerous because if you ask questions and you're taken to a doctor, they'll make a diagnosis of ADHD. You should not ask questions to a teacher. Whatever the teacher says, you must say yes. You are supposed to be a good student. But the education must make a healthy mind, not just a wealthy career. What is a healthy mind? Where is the mind? Where is the mind? You're all chartered accountants, supposed to know so many things. Where is the mind?
Suppose you have one.
Yes. Never mind. But let me tell you, mind is not in the brain. This is a misconception all of us have. Brain is an organ. Mind is not an organ. Mind is energy. It's consciousness. And mind is universal. The whole mind of this world is one. And we are a part of that one space, individual mind. And mind is a canvas on which your thoughts are projected. And minds meet. And minds can exchange thoughts. And as a matter of fact, we now know that you can convey your thoughts from your mind to another person's mind. This is now proven in science. They have been doing experiments in quantum physics where they produce brain waves in a person. And that brain wave can be transferred to other people if you want to do that. Similarly, people can influence others' minds. There are a lot of people who can influence others' minds. There are a lot of these people called Godmen, They influence us with their thinking. Many of them are frauds, let me tell you that. They have not come here to do any good to the society. Though of course it says, this young lady will say, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya tadatmanam sajamiham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya duskritam. Save the good people and destroy the bad people. That doesn't happen. Bad people only grow in this country. So that's the unfortunate part. So what is happening is, we need to develop an educational system which encourages a healthy mind. The definition of healthy mind in my concept is a mind with enthusiasm to work. How many of us cross our heart and say, I have enthusiasm to work? Good, very good. What is enthusiasm to work? Okay. What is the meaning of the word enthusiasm? Okay, energy to work. En in Latin means inside. Theos means God. Enthusiasm is theos.
The energy to work will come only when you think that the working is your philosophy of your life.
Okay, very good. Very good. The real meaning of the word enthusiasm is entheos. God inside provokes you to do your work. That's what we say, Gayatri Mantra, Prachodayat. At the end of the day you say, please encourage me to do. And what is it? Real wanting to do work is different from having to do work. Now most of us are here or do our work because we want salary out of it or income out of it. We don't love our work. If you love your work, you are called enthusiasm to work, number one. So you get up in the morning and ask yourself, do I today want to go to office or have to go to office? If a child asks in the morning, do I have to go to the school or want to go to the school? Most children will say, I don't want to go to the school. But if you ask a child, do you want to go to an ice cream parlor? The child says yes. Schools have become so bad these days. Of course, they were bad earlier also. Because Alexis Carrel, Nobel laureate, said, every newborn child is a genius, only to be converted into an idiot in school. You laughed, but it's the truth. When a child is born, it's like God. So much of curiosity. He wants to know everything about this world. You go to school, You're all put into one slot, what we call as education, today's Western education, where you are all converted into robots. You have to repeat the same thing what the teacher says. I'll tell you my personal experience. I had a grandchild which was born abroad. So he was going to school there. So he's so curious about everything. And whenever he meets me, he'll ask me such questions that I can't answer. They have transferred now to India and he's going to school here. Now he won't talk to me because he says, Ajja, I have no time to talk to you because I got to learn so many things. So he was so upset one day because he went to the class and there was an exam. So he wrote, Obavanu vana keli hodidalu. You know that story about Obava? But the teacher had said, vana keli Obavanu hodidalu. Because he said, Obavanu vana keli hodidalu, he got 0 mark. So he was so upset, he went to the teacher. And the teacher said, you have done the wrong thing. You didn't follow what I said. So this is called making us robots. This is the education that we inherited from Britain. In the 18th century, industries came up. So they wanted workers in the industry who should not ask questions. They should not think. They should not have any original ideas. They should all understand something, follow that, what is told to them. And that same education, we are calling it education here. Then we say legally there is Right to Education Act. I asked the Prime Minister one day, what is the right to education? You want the bad education, child to must have right? Right to good education is a good thing. And where is the good education? Indian education of the hoary past. Look at our education, I'll tell you. Even the punishment was scientific. What punishment were our teachers giving? Screw your ears. Do you know why? Tell me. Very scientific. This is all cartilage. If you screw it once, the pain will remain for a week. Child will remember, I shouldn't do that mistake again. Number 2 is, whenever you screw your ear, the part of the brain which is meant for memory, not mind, memory, which is called the hippocampus major, gets stimulated. Now West calls it a super yoga. Now they do not squeezing but pulling the pinna to stimulate your brain. This is called super yoga. If you go to Tamil Nadu, they've got what's called Topukaranam. Every child is taken to Pullayar temple before going to the exam. Pullayar temple is the Ganesha temple, where the child goes and does this Topukaranam, holds this and does this. Do you know why? It stimulates the hippocampus major. The memory is so stimulated that the answers come to the questions so easily in the exam hall. Very scientific, everything is scientific, but we don't want that education. We want the Western education. That's unfortunate because most of us, if not all of us, are RNIs. You know RNIs? Not NRIs, RNIs. Resident non-Indians. We are residing in India but thinking with American mind. Somebody was telling me on the way from the airport here, one of your members, I think you are president or future president or ex-president, he was telling me, you were the one propagating coconut oil 40 years ago when I was a student in Udupi. You had written an article called Tengina Ennege Grahachara. I wrote an article in a local Kannada paper. So I was telling people, look at coconut oil. If you analyze the fat in coconut oil, analyze mother's milk, it is the same fat, sodium monolauric acid. And if mother's milk is good, coconut oil must be the best. But people were saying coconut oil is poison. Doctors were saying coconut oil is poison, it's cholesterol and all that you say. If a doctor says coconut oil has cholesterol, he has not passed his biochemistry first MBBS exam. Because cholesterol comes from animal source, not from vegetarian source. So coconut oil cannot have cholesterol. But what is happening is, now America has found out coconut oil is the best oil. They had knew it earlier, but they wanted to kill it for business sake. Now they are saying coconut oil is good. Everybody says, yes, coconut oil is very good. Now our doctors also say coconut oil is very good. So we don't want to believe anything that we say, but it must come from America. Now yoga is originally Indian. It went to America, got converted into several types of yogas and has come back. Now we say yoga is great. So this is our unfortunate thing about our educational system. So if you change the educational system to a healthy mind instead of just a wealthy career, this country, nay, the world will change. I want all chartered accountants to have a very healthy mind. Healthy mind will have a healthy body, because mind and body are the same. E is equal to M. Energy is matter, matter is energy. There is no separate matter. So your energy is your mind, matter is your body. So there is not called mind and body, but mind body is one. And your mind is the one that you have to train to have a healthy life. Lot of people say, how to avoid heart attack, doctor? You think there's a block in the vessel is a cause of the heart attack? No. Block in the vessel is a good business for me. I can tell you I want to bypass that and take about 5 lakhs from you. But that block has been bypassed by nature or God long ago. Otherwise you would live. Supposing you had 100% block, how can you survive? So as the block appears over a period of years, the collaterals come. I have a ACE patient in Mangalore. This man saw me about 40 years ago when he was about 50 plus. And he brought an angiogram where all vessels are blocked. Every single vessel of his heart was blocked. And he said, doctors asked me to immediately have bypass surgery. So I looked at the angiogram. Nature had done so much a bypass. His whole heart was so beautifully supplied by blood. So I told him, look, you don't require anything. Nature has done the job. We can only do a cosmetic work on top of it and harm you. So don't worry. But his children were all in America. So they thought, this village doctor doesn't know. So they took their father to America. They went to Mayo Clinic and showed their angiogram. That Mayo Clinic doctor said, send your father back home. Ask him to have a peg of whiskey every night and enjoy life. He will not die. Don't touch him. And that man is alive now, 94. And you can see him today, 94. Ramrod straight. He had 3 cancers after that in the last 40 years. Survived all the cancers also. And this is a very quick man. If you read Mangalore newspapers, this man has now taken the voluntary job of chief traffic warden. Early morning at 9 o'clock, he's about 6 feet 4 inches height. He'll put on that police dress and come and stand in Hampalgatta and direct traffic. At the age of 94. And is so fit and healthy. Why is he healthy? He has a healthy mind. I always say, mind, your heart will be fine. If you don't mind your mind and fill the mind with hatred, jealousy, greed, ego, depression, etc., you will die of a heart attack very soon. The cause of a heart attack is not the block, but a bad mind. It's a bad mind that attracts a clot, and that clot kills. And if you had a block earlier, you probably don't die. If you didn't have a block, if you were very young and didn't have a block at all, if you get a heart attack, you will die instantaneously on the spot. That's called sudden death syndrome, which is different from a heart attack. Before the heart attack occurs, you are dead. So your heart on postmortem looks normal, but you may have died of a heart attack because the heart is called electric death. And this happens. It happens in 2 circumstances. A, if you are an alcoholic, if you drink a lot of alcohol, your wiring inside the heart gets eaten up, moth eaten, and wiring gets snapped one day. So you suddenly drop down dead. But if you have a heart attack and you are old and have many blocks, you will never die. You will have chest pain, come to the doctor, make the doctor rich, and you will go on and on and on, jug on, and you don't die. So the secret is the block in the vessel, coronary vessel, is not the cause of a heart attack. Recently they did a study in America. They took angiograms of people, lot of people, and everybody had some block. So they didn't interfere, didn't tell them, but wrote down, this man has a block in the left anterior descending artery, and if he gets a heart attack, he must have a heart attack in that territory. Like that they left and then observed them over the last 20 years. Now a few of them did have a heart attack, but never in the area where there is a blocked vessel. So blocked vessel is not the cause. Where there is an open vessel, that got a clot and that had a heart attack. But even then what happens is, we simply frighten you because that's our business. Just now I was talking to a friend of mine sitting here, and he was saying he is absolutely fine but his sugar level is very high. So he had a very pertinent question, very logical question. Doctor, doesn't your body get used to a higher level of sugar? I told him yes, it does. Because he says, I'm absolutely fine. If doctors give me tablet and try to bring my sugar down, I feel miserable. I said, you are absolutely right. Because one of the greatest researchers in hypertension had told, his name was Sir John Pickering, and Pickering said, after you start a patient on blood pressure drugs, he loses all the three things in the American Constitution enshrined for man: life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Life you are not sure because with or without drugs you may die. Liberty you don't have because you have so much of restrictions. Pursuit of happiness is a thing of the past. So if you take drugs, you become an ass. But lot of thinking doctors are there. I was telling that gentleman sitting there with me, I said there is a young doctor in Pune. I met this boy, very ingenious doctor. He has devised a method of not controlling diabetes, but curing diabetes. You have no diabetes at all. At the end of which he will give you a certificate, cured of diabetes, no treatment needed. And that certificate, and he will give you a medal, a gold medal. And he will call every year people who have done that course. And this year he called me as a chief guest. I had about 2,800 people who got the gold medal. They called Muktotsava. In Pune he had 4 days of Muktotsava. Tripathi. Pramod Tripathi. Actually, one of the participants this year who got the gold medal from me was our former Home Minister, Sushil Kumar Shinde. And Shinde told me, sir, with about 20 units of insulin 3 times a day and 3 tablets, my sugar average used to be 240. With this boy's treatment, it has never gone beyond 110. And I'm very happy and healthy now. So this is what is possible. But unfortunately, commercial medicine is different from real scientific medicine. And if you want to know the scientific medicine, it's very easy to live a healthy life. Healthy life, if you want to live, have a healthy mind. And the word that kills you is that arrogance. I, do you know who I am? I'm a high court judge. That I starts illness. When once you say we, it starts wellness. All that you do is convert that I into we. That's all, as simple as that. So the things that kill you are the negative feelings in your mind. The things that keep you healthy are positive feelings for others. If you want to be healthy and happy, make others healthy and happy. I always tell my students, each one, at least reach one life so that he is made happy. And a lot of people go in search of happiness. I'll be happy when I get my daughter married. I'll be happy when I become the Chief Justice of India. I'll be happy when I become the Prime Minister of India. You will never be happy. If you are happy today, you will be happy all your life. So happiness is a journey. Happiness is not a goal. And what is a simple formula for happiness? Tell me. Catch hold of a man who is unhappy, make him happy. And happiness will come back. Happiness and love are like the mirror, Christina, an American poetess, wrote, if love is what you give away, love is what comes back each day. So it comes and hits you back. So you love another person, the world loves you. You love yourself only and don't love nobody and hate others, you kill yourself faster. So friends, convert yourself, illness to we, wellness. You will all be very healthy. Then a lot of people think, oh, if I eat this, I'll be healthy. If I run a mile every day, I'll be healthy. If I run marathon now and then, I'll be healthy. All not correct. You are healthy if your mind is healthy. You don't have to even run nothing of the sort. You can eat anything as long as you don't eat when you are not hungry, you are fine. If you don't eat too much and become obese, you are fine. Eat what you like. Your ancestors did not ask what to eat and what not to eat. Today you see a lot of things. What should I eat? Should I eat? Then you see the advertisement. Then says, oh, you are now weak, so take this something, protein, extra protein, 14 proteins, and then for children, 37 things come down and fall into that glass. It's all 100% advertisement. You know what advertisement is? John Kenneth Galbraith, who was one of our ambassadors and was a professor of economics in Harvard, wrote a book in 1956 called Affluent Society, where he said, advertisement is to tell, not to tell about the product to the consumer. It is to entice the consumer to buy the product when he doesn't need it. You go to a mall, you see 3 shirts for 1 shirt's cost. Now that's advertisement. एक साड़ी ले लीजिएगा, 2 free. There's nothing free. 1 sari, he paid all the 3 saris cost. So this is all enticement. So don't believe any drug or any food that is advertised is poison. So food that is your ancestors eat. What is the best food for people? Some people say, I'll have this diet, that diet, what's that called? Mediterranean diet. Mediterranean diet is meant for Mediterranean people, not for you. Your diet is what your ancestors have been eating. You know, if your father has been eating something, your grandfather has been eating something, that's your best diet. Don't change it. If I go to Rajasthan now, what will you get there? Chapati and suki sabji, rasar sabji, that's all. But I have a South Indian meal. Actually, South Indian meal is very good. For diabetic patients now, in America, they give South Indian rice diet. And here, doctors tell you, don't see rice, you will die of diabetes. Actually, rice, brown rice, has a medicine for diabetes called metadicol. It's come from the taudu, the cover, the bran. But white rice, of course, is poison because it's only sugar, nothing else is there. Brown rice is so good that it's a treatment for diabetes. But nobody bothers. Now recent studies have shown that your own environment is your best thing. And a lot of people say, oh, we take hunter-gatherers diet. Hunter-gatherers is to work very hard. Their diet can't be suitable for you. But your diet must be something different. Your father might have been eating a big meal, but he was working very hard. You don't work. See, young ladies now, shoulder pain, frozen shoulder. I still see, I can visualize my mother. She used to grind for idli. Today who grinds? You press a button, chirr, it goes. That is the cause of your illness, not the diet. So the idli is the same, whether it is made by chirr or this. But with this, she was healthy because she was grinding it. And you take water from the well, it's very good for health. Today no, you just turn the tap, water comes. So this is where we have become now almost immobile. That is why we require exercise. But we doctors sometimes blindly tell. I saw a young doctor the other day telling a farmer, you must walk for 1 mile. I told him, young man, this man will walk all that you have walked all your life in 1 day. Have you ever walked in a wet field? It's so difficult to walk in a wet field. You put your leg there, it goes deep in, gets stuck there. To pull it out, you require energy. This boy doesn't know that because he has only studied in the medical college, read the books, and he's reading the books onto the patient. That's our problem. We read the books onto the patient. And patient asks a question, you say, don't ask questions. It's silly. That gentleman who was with me was telling, he has a cousin who is a doctor, I believe. When he asks questions to her, she says, don't come to see me anymore because your silly questions I can't answer. But his questions are so profound that no question is silly. Answers can be silly. Questions can be very profound. And he had a very good question actually. I would love to answer that question because he was asking me, doesn't your body get used to a higher level of sugar? It does. I'll give you an example. Now, I'll take this front row and if I have the blood sugar level, I'll check everybody's blood sugar. How many? If you are 25 people, 25 readings will come in that. No 2 readings will be alike. Now what do? We take the average of that and call it as normal. This is the biggest curse on mankind. That's only an average, statistical average, it can't be normal. If you really go for a checkup, now for example, all of your blood sugars are checked, there will be different readings. If I take an average and see, none of you is normal. None of you, remember, mark my words, none of you is normal. You're either high or low. So both ways you're a patient. So you go for a checkup as a human being, you come out as a patient. Because of statistical methods. This is okay for 1 blood sugar. But if you take about 200 parameters, that's what they do in corporate hospitals. But corporate hospitals are there to make money. So you go there, they'll take your blood and then give a big thick report, this thick report. And then charge you maybe about 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 rupees. But if you look at this report very carefully, many places it will be written in thick letters, abnormal, 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 abnormal. Then you come to a lot of people come to me and say, sir, my uric acid is slightly on the higher side. I said, so what? What's your problem? I have no problem. I said, then it's the doctor's problem. Why are you worried about it? It's very interesting. The other day I was lecturing in an NITK, what's that called? National Institute of Technology. And I told the boys, they were doing biomedical engineering. I told them, have you got a weighing machine? They got a weighing machine. I said, now keep it here. Now 10 of you come, weigh yourself and write down the weights. And then say, this is the weight. What's the average weight? So they calculated. I said, any one of you has the average weight? No. Then you are abnormal. This is very difficult. What is the normal Indian height of a male? We take 1,000 people. Take the average, it's about 5.4 plus minus 2. So, let's say 5.6. How many of us are 5.6 exactly? Amitabh Bachchan goes for a checkup. 6.2. So the treatment is cut his leg, make him 5.6. Jaya Bachchan goes for a checkup, 4.6. Transplant that leg to her and make her also normal. This is the medicine we practice. Don't practice that medicine. Your medicine is, are you feeling happy? Are you healthy? Do you love others? Do you work hard? You are fine. That's so beautifully put by Ayurveda. Samadhatu samagnischa samadosha malakriya prasanna atma indriya manasvastha ityabhidiyate. You get up in the morning and say, did I sleep well? Do I eat well? Did I shit well? Did I piss well? And am I happy? Do I hate anybody? Nobody? Then you are healthy. Nothing to worry. But if you hate somebody, you are not healthy. You are very dangerously ill. And you and death are very, very close to each other. So don't hate people. Love others. Do you know why? You are not a single individual. That's why you are not I. You are a cell when you are made in a mother's womb called a zygote. One cell, one single cell, human cell. But that cell was like you. It could think, it could eat, it could piss, it could shit, it could do everything. That cell has divided over a period of time into 122 trillion cells, each of them individually capable of being human beings. So I call them a colony. So each one of us is a colony of 120 human beings, loving each other so much. Today you have a biophoton camera. If I photograph you, I can see your cells jumping with happiness. And when they are jumping with happiness, you are healthy. But the minute you start hating someone else, supposing I sit with Justice Kothari, and then I am jealous of his position, etc. Then I say, when will I be just like Kothari? I must pull him down and put him down somehow or other. The minute that thought goes in, your cells feel bad. Because sitting here, my cells have started loving Kothari's cells. They love each other so much. But if the owner hates the other person, the cells say, why is he doing that? Is he very foolish? I love Kothari Sahab. Why is he hating Kothari Sahab? Still I go on hating Kothari Sahab further. A stage will come, my own cells hate my own cells. That's called autoimmune disease. Have you heard of that? There is no treatment for this autoimmune disease. You go to a doctor, he'll give you a steroid. That's not a treatment, that's making you worse. But autoimmune disease can be corrected by the mind. You just have to tell your mind to be happy and not hate nobody. There is a nice book for all of you to read. Please read that. It's a small book. It's called Anatomy of an Illness. What's the book's name? Anatomy of an Illness. It's written by an American journalist, very good English. His name is Norman Cousins. Norman was a great journalist. So he was covering Khrushchev Kennedy meeting in the Moscow airport where a jet was turning. So the hot jet fuel, jet air hit this man at the temperature of minus 30 degrees. So from then on, he started having stiffness in the muscles and joints, and to cut the long story short, he had a disease called ankylosing spondylitis, for which our textbooks have no treatment at all. And this man is supposed to die in another 6 months' time. He was admitted to Harvard Hospital because he was a very rich man, big man in America, big name, Norman Cousins. So the doctors told him, you have only 6 months to live. I don't know how the doctors have become astrologers these days. We are predicting the unpredictable future of patients. Anyway, they told him in 6 months, just be here. So he was there, not able to move even a finger. One day some of his friends came there, and old friends, old time's sake, they were all joking around, and suddenly everybody laughed. And Norman also laughed for the first time. He laughed so loudly, then he saw his fingers moving. Then his friends collected a lot of these Charlie Chaplin movies those days. There were no television, so they brought this 16 millimeter gudu 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 that run. In the olden days, have you gone to a cinema theater? After 1 hour it will stop. Next reel will come. It went on, he laughed. 3 months later he was perfectly normal, went home, lived for another 50 years and died at the old age. And then he wrote, it's all in your mind. Happiness is the reason why you feel so happy, so healthy and so nice. Diseases are accidents. Even if you are healthy, you can still get a disease. But if you follow the health rules, diseases are less. Like if you follow the traffic rules, accidents are less. But even with the best traffic rules, accidents do occur. So one can't say, I will not get a disease, I will be very healthy. No, you can't say that. You can say, I will live a healthy life and be happy. That's in your control. And I would want all of you to do that, because when you are healthy to even work. You will be very good chartered accountants, and you will be honest chartered accountants. You will be a blessing to society. So I want all of you to be very healthy, happy, contented and loving one another. And that's why you have got an association. I was happy. Don't hate one another for competition. We always have this competition taught in school. I am first rank. What does it mean? Nothing. The others have not been as good as you. So in other words, first rank is comparing with others. And that first rank mentality grows into life. So all judges are paid the same. So supposing when one judge wants to be the first rank judge, he has to be corrupt. That's why corruption has got into the judiciary also. I am sorry to say that, sir. Corruption has gone into the judiciary, so much so the common man says you can buy justice today. People who do all kinds of horrible crimes, bribe of crores, thousands of crores of rupees, and the man is so confidently telling the television, court will exonerate me, don't worry. Court will let me loose. And it will, even that one man in Bihar, he is now let loose by the court. He ate what the cows are supposed to eat. This is what happens. That is because their first mentality goes up. I always, when I go for a convocation address, I tell the students, I congratulate those who got the prizes, but I also congratulate those who did not get the prizes, because it is because of them you got the prize. But what is excellence, do you know? You compete with yourself. I want to be a better BMX tomorrow than what I am today. That is called excellence. And when you compete with yourself, there is no jealousy, no greed, no nothing. At the same time, you become better. So there are a lot of these tutorial colleges where say, we are the best because we train. He takes a 95% mark student and makes him 98, make him mug more. I want a tutorial college say, I have taken a 30% mark fellow and made him excellent. There is one boy doing that in India. We must salute him. His name is Kumar. Kumar is Anand Kumar. He is a boy in Bihar. He was a mathematical genius. His SSLC paper could not be understood by the mathematics teacher. So they sent the paper to Cambridge. And Cambridge saw that paper and said, we will give him scholarship, let him come here to study his PhD directly. He doesn't have to go to the college. But the boy didn't have money. So ultimately they took a bank loan. He was about to go. The previous day his father died. And the mother with 3 sisters was alone, no income. And mother was making lijjat papat and living on that. So this boy said, no, I won't go. I'll stay here and become a very good Indian, try to help people without means. So he took children from Bihar, poor, very poor children from villages, and brought them to his house. A small little hut it was. And there his mother was still making lijjat papat with his sisters, and they all ate together. So the children got food, children got clothes, and children were taught by this boy. And would you believe, ever since the beginning, every boy got into IIT. Anand Kumar's IIT. Today his clan has increased so much, and the Bihar educational mafia wanted to kill him. One day a big goon was sent to stab this boy, and he was teaching the children mathematics. What is he teaching? His house, one place he has put some tar, and with chalk he was teaching them. He was looking at the board, and this man was jumping inside behind him to stab him. But one student saw that, and the student jumped up, and in the bargain the student got caught in the knife, and the student's intestines came out. So this Kumar boy picked up the student, walked into the hospital, got him better, took a loan, and that boy today is an IIT graduate who is joining Kumar to teach. So this is the kind of people we have. And you must give some prize for them. You know, next time you are meeting, you can call this, it's called Kumar 30. He takes 30 boys. And only thing is he can give a fantastic speech, but in Hindi only. His only problem is he can't speak English so well. But today he is recognized worldwide, and he is being recognized abroad. But I am so sorry he didn't get a Padma Award. So I wrote to the government, how do you select for the Padma Award? Very interesting thing, I'll tell you. My personal experience, I tell you. When I saw when somebody said in the previous evening that you got a Padma Award, I was surprised. How will I get a Padma Award? Because, you know, the politicians hate me. Actually, one of the Congress chief ministers here removed my name as a vice chancellor of Bangalore University. One minister in center removed my name as a vice chancellor of Banaras Hindu University. And another chief minister here removed my name from Rajiv Gandhi University. So I said, they don't want honest people. But how did they find out? I didn't apply for a Padma Award. So then I asked for some of my friends in Delhi. They said, now keep quiet. You have not got the award, no. It's only announced. You will get in April. Get it in your hand. After that you ask. So April I got my Padma Bhushan. Then I went to Delhi. One of my friends, one Karthikeyan is there. He was a former CBI director. He was here as a police officer. And Karthikeyan is a bright son. I asked that boy, how do we? Uncle, don't worry, I'll apply for an RTI. So he applied for an RTI. How did B.M. Hegde get a Padma Award? He did apply for it. How did he get it? Then they sent a list of all the 1,400 people who applied for it. Each one being posted by so many people, governors, ministers, MPs, MLAs, blah, blah, blah. But there were 4 people not recognized by anybody, not applied for it, and they were picked up by the committee. And one of them was myself, so I was so happy. I said, okay, there is something in this country where merit is even recognized. So that's what happened. I am not that happy that I got the Padma Award. Do you know when I will be happy? That boy Kumar must get his Padma Award. I will be too happy because he is a role model for the whole world. Even today, he teaches rich people's kids in the night to earn money to teach these poor kids during the daytime. Feed them and things like that. So one day we met in Bihar, because I used to be a chief of the Bihar Health Society. With Nitish Kumar was the chief minister. So I asked him, Kumar, why do you restrict it to Bihar only? He said, sir, give me some 2 poor kids from Karnataka and I will take them. And this year he has taken 2 kids from Karnataka. So let us not have this clannish mentality that I am Karnataka, I am Kannada, this, that and all. That's okay. It's like, but you must love human beings more. And Kumar today is loving children, bright children, and making them better and making them useful to society, and all of them are IIT graduates. So may Kumar's tribe increase, and may he be our role model, and I want all of us to do something for others, because Emerson said life is not just to live and enjoy. No, that's not, even a dog does that. Life is to be authentic, he said. Life is to be honest. Life is to touch another life, to show to the world that you not only lived well, but you let others live well. That is called a real authentic life. And let us all aim at that with a healthy mind, and let India prosper, and let India go up to that heaven of freedom where the mind knows no bounds, as said Tagore. And that's the real India that I want to see. And I'm not enamored by politicians and all. But there are some good politicians also. Let me tell you that. I was one day coming back from London after next exam, and the Royal Colleges give you a first class ticket. So otherwise in my life I can't imagine paying a first class ticket. So I was sitting in the first class compartment. There was no one. It was an Air India flight. This was in 2002. When the flight was about to leave, a gentleman walked in. I had seen him in the papers. He was a Gujarat Chief Minister. Narendra Modi was his name. So he came and sat in another seat. But what impressed me most was not his chief ministership. He wanted a glass of water. What do we do in the plane? We press the bell. The girl comes running. This man got up, went to that bay and told the girl, I want a cup of water. Can I have it? That girl gave, he drank it there and gave the glass to her and then came and sat again. I said, this must be a good man. After some time he looked around. We were only two. The plane started. It was 9.5 hours flight from London to Bombay. And this man came slowly to me and sat by my side and said, who are you? I said who I was. I said I didn't want to come and talk to you because you are all politicians. I keep politicians at arm's length. So I just sat here. So he went on, here a doctor, tell me how do I improve Bihar's health. So I went on telling him something and he was making notes, sitting and making notes. Can you believe that? So he went on and on and on and on, 9.5 hours. And when we got down in Bombay, he went to Ahmedabad, I went to Bangalore. Now after 2 months, his health minister, one Jai Narayan Vyas, he is also a PhD in economics. Jai Narayan calls me and says, sir, can you come to Ahmedabad because Chief Minister wants to meet you, because he has written an article, it seems, in the Bhavan's Journal saying that if a pregnant mother is poor, the child will be unhealthy when it is born, and after that the child cannot be improved. Our Chief Minister is so impressed by that article, he wants you to tell our people about it. Please come. I said, okay, send me a ticket, I'll come. They sent a ticket. So I went to Ahmedabad, they had booked me a hotel, and the next morning 10 o'clock was a meeting in Gandhinagar. So they said 9 o'clock we'll send the car. I said okay, 9 o'clock I was ready. 9:45 my car reached Gandhinagar, that auditorium. Would you believe the Chief Minister with his ministers was waiting outside for me? When I was Vice Chancellor in Manipal University, I had an appointment to see one of the Chief Ministers, then Chief Ministers in Bangalore. They wanted me. So I came here. Then when I came, they said, okay, Chief Minister is busy now, you wait. I said, I waited. This was at 9 o'clock I came. I waited till 2 o'clock. And at 2 o'clock they said, your turn now, go inside. And I went inside. Suddenly some Japanese tourists came, or delegation or something like that. They said, you wait, they'll finish. So I was sitting there inside. This Chief Minister never even looked at my face. After about nearly 12 hours of waiting, he told me, why did you come? I said, I didn't come. You only called me. He said, did I? What for? He said, so I went back. This is the kind. Now look at this difference. Here was a man waiting for me. Who were there? His 5 senior ministers, 8 senior IAS officers, his economic advisor, one Dr. Mehta, the IIM chairman, what is his name? I forget his name. So all of them were there. So they said, he said, come, meeting starts at 10 o'clock, he said. 10 o'clock the door closes. Nobody, even the minister cannot come in. 10 o'clock the door closed, he said, Dr. Hegde, tell us about your ideas. So I told 1 hour. He said, you all now can ask him questions for 1 hour. They asked questions. Then he said, I will ask him questions, he asked. Then he said, I will talk to you now what I have learnt, and I have made notes. So he told them what he learnt from what we discussed. Then he said, lunch. Another door opened and there was a 3-course lunch laid on the table. We had lunch. After lunch he said, 15 minutes rest. After that he said, you all now have to understand what he said and tell me ideas as to how we can improve Gujarat. So they had some ideas. Then he said, all right, now my orders for implementation tomorrow. A midday meal for a pregnant woman, a poor woman who is pregnant, misses her period, she joins this course and midday meal. And I have taken down what all Professor Hegde has suggested. So then on he gives a warm midday meal for every pregnant woman, because I said there is no use giving midday meal to a child which is already born very badly, made very badly. Give it to the mother, the child will be made well. And today you must go and see in Gujarat the infant mortality is so low. It's very well. So that's the kind of people we want in this country. I am not saying vote for him because I don't know. Vote if you like, I don't know. But we want good people in politics, then only the country can change. We want good people in society, then only the country can change. So, see, this is, now I'll tell you the story. This child which was a very naughty child at home. So the father and the mother thought, young people they didn't have time for themselves. So they one day went out and brought a jigsaw puzzle, which is about 10,000 small pieces of the world. And they so called the child and said, look child, put this world correctly and then you can come and question us. They thought for the next 5 days the child will have problems sorting out those jigsaw puzzle. After about half an hour the child was back in the bedroom. Daddy, mummy, I have finished it. These people are nonplussed. So they went and saw the whole world was so beautiful with the small islands on the Australian side and all. They said, how did you manage it? Daddy and mummy, you didn't see. Turned it, the other side there's a man. I put the man right, the world became right. So my take home message is, I want every member of the Chartered Accountants Association to be good human beings so that the world will change, because you are the ones looking after the financial health of this country, which is as important if not more important than the physical health of the country. And I want you all to be very, very upright and want you to be very good human beings. And from my selfish motive, if you are an upright, honest man, health will be yours for the asking. And disease will be very rare. Occasionally you will get it, that doesn't matter. And even if you get a disease, if you are following health results, your recovery will be very fast. Otherwise it will take a long time. May God bless you all. May you have a nice time. Sorry for bothering you so much. And I'm sorry, sir, if I have wasted your time. Today is your holiday today? Oh, good. I was.
Give a standing ovation to the gentleman.
No. Thank you all very, very much. I am really moved and touched by your love and affection. That is much more important than all the things in life. You know what is important? Love of another human being. Nothing like that. It's so good. And many times, you know, I sometimes, a lot of people say, you have been practicing medicine for so long, but you don't seem to have made much money. I said, no, but I have got a very big asset, my people. When a man comes and says, you know, wherever you go, somebody comes and says, doctor, you saved my life. I didn't do anything. Honestly, no doctor can save your life. The young lady was quoting something about doctors. Do you know what Ayurveda said? Vaidya Raja Namastubhyam. Yamaraja Sahodara. You are the brother of Yamaraja. But the next line, that's not bad, because Yamaraja is the best judge. He judges and treats everybody equally. He kills a dog or a king in the same way. But the next sentence is very interesting. Yamastu harati pranan. Yama only takes life. Vaidyo pranan dhananicha. You take life and money both. So the happiness is so great when somebody says, you know, so happy. And these days, a lot of people come. The other day, I met somebody in the airport in Bombay. He said, doctor, I am from Chicago. And me and my wife have a lot of your YouTube videos. And we have changed our lifestyle. We are so happy. Thank you very much. I have not seen you, but are you Dr. Hegde? I said, yes. You're so happy. You know, you feel so happy. You know, after all, in the morning, you want somebody to call you by name. You know, you're looking for it. You open the paper, morning paper, you will see whether your photo is anywhere in the paper. So when somebody recognizes you, feel happy. And thank you all very much. And thank you, sir.
We are honored actually.
After hearing so much of awe-inspiring speech from Dr. Hegde, one idea came to me. I want to put it to your executive, sir. For better education, which we all need, our country needs. May I suggest, is my personal idea, and I'll be happy to become part of it. Your association, KSCAA, should make a fund for educating, for meeting the expenses of at least 10 poor students in the school education. And please take my check as the first contribution, which should be the minimum. If you do that, I'll be very happy.
You know what I had suggested to the government? I said teachers must be paid the best.
Yes.
Best salary. I said teachers must be paid the highest salary, because teachers should not be short of money. And you select the best teachers. I don't want the best IAS officers, I want best teachers. And that's only can change the country. I want brilliant young men and women to be teachers. And teaching is not telling what you have to say, encouraging the child to learn and change the child into an excellent child, make the child every day better. And that's the education that we are looking for. And sir, thank you very much for your generosity. And that's a good thing. Yes, everything, yes, you're right. You're all chartered accountants. Everything starts with money. Without money, nothing happens. I said the best brains, I want PhDs to teach in elementary school. And the SLC man can teach a MA class because there's nothing to teach. Elementary school, you require a brilliant PhD to teach, because then when you become a PhD only, you know what is good, what is bad, and what is to be told and what is not to be told. If you send a young teacher to the class, he will vomit out all that he learned the previous day. But you send a senior teacher to the class, he will say very few things to stimulate the students to learn for themselves. And I saw an advertisement in Bangalore near the airport today. It's a different school where the child asks questions. I said, my God, today if a child asks questions in the class, the child will be called ADHD. ADHD is not a disease. Did you know that? Did you know? Attention deficit hyperactive reaction. That's not a disease. The Psychiatric Association of America had a president called Leon Eisenberg. This man was heavily funded by the drug companies. And drug companies wanted him to have a disease to sell a particular drug. So as the president, he had a meeting and he made ADHD as a disease. If a child doesn't attend to the teacher's class properly, if a child asks questions in the class, if a child is inattentive in the class, immediately it's sent to a psychiatrist and he makes a diagnosis of ADHD. At that rate, lot of people would have been ADHD. Bill Gates never attended a class properly. He copied in the exam. That's why thrown out of Stanford. So that's the kind of people. Kennedy was like that. And all our leaders were brilliant, were like that. And all of them would have been ADHDs and would have died of that drug. But today, that man had cancer at the old age, Leon Eisenberg. And he's a German. In a German village, he was dying of cancer. He called the press and said, I can't anyway tolerate my guilt. Please tell the world there is no disease called ADHD. I have only created that to help the drug company who have given me millions of dollars. And I am now suffering because millions of children are being drugged by that drug and killed. So please tell the world there is no disease called ADHD. But do you know that? You don't know that because this was not advertised at all. This is suppressed because there's a big business in that drug. So what is important is let us all be good human beings and we want to have a very good education. Thank you, sir.